All right, we're going to run through this super fast because it's my third time recording this now because I messed up the first two. But anyways, the worst thing to do as a human being is to assume, because when you assume, spell it out, you make an ass out of you and me. But insiders around the NHL certainly believe the New York Rangers, or will assume the New York Rangers, are not done making trades. And it appears the next and possibly final acquisition is going to be another fourth-line floater-type forward, similar to Tyler Motte. Speaking of Tyler Motte, we acquired Tyler Motte. This is exciting. Yay. A quick reminder on Tyler Motte. This is going back to the last video. This is essentially an expansion off of that. This is like the final acquisition coming up after this. We're going to go over 3 players that we looked at in the last video. If you haven't seen that, don't worry about it. I'm still going to go over them for you. And 2 new players that I added to the list. Tyler Motte, again, is 9.39 hits per 60, is third on the Rangers. Is actually second now that Julien Gauthier is gone. His 4.24 blocks per 60 is now third on the Rangers. And first among forwards, his penalties drawn per 60 at 1.93 would be second, but now it is first. Thanks to Julien Gauthier being gone. I say thanks to. I miss Julien Gauthier. What a shame he didn't make it out, and that we have the decision over Gauthier. But that's neither here nor there. The trade's done. Tyler Motte's a Ranger. It is what it is. It's 1.67 net penalties per 60. Leads the NHL. Sorry, Julien Gauthier. Tyler Motte, this is the Motte card that Jay Fresh posted when he first signed with the Ottawa Senators. If you want to pause it and look at it, go ahead. Obviously, things have not worked out great for Tyler Motte in Ottawa. It's part of the reason he was moved. The Rangers got him back. He was in a bad spot, needed a change of scenery, so the Rangers decided, you know what, instead of bringing him to a change of scenery, let's bring him to a flashback, a place he's been before and succeeded in before. Tyler Motte will play tonight, 7 o'clock. I will not be able to cover the first, probably second period of that game as well, depending on when I get back from school. I do have a night class tonight, so we'll see what happens there. Neither here nor there. Moving on. I know I'm talking fast. I'm running super, super short on time. I've actually got to be at work within the next 25 minutes, so I'm going to be in and out of this video so fast. Okay, now we are looking at 3 post-Motte options that we've already looked at in the last video, and 2 more post-Motte options that were not mentioned in the last video that will be mentioned in this video that are actually interesting and kind of exciting. Sam Lafferty, we're going to look at again. He's fast. He's 53.6% of the faceoffs. Will be second on the Rangers behind Trocheck. His 6.94 hits per 60 will now be 5th on the Rangers since Julien Gauthier is no longer here. His 0.9 penalties drawn per 60 will be tied 5th on the Rangers. Actually, a pretty good penalties drawn. He's actually now tied first in the NHL in shorthanded goals with a shorty the other night. I made mention of this before. Now, the Rangers really aren't in dire need of any more penalty killers with VC, Trocheck, Gaudreau, Kakko, Zibanejad, and Kreider. You could throw another guy into that mix. Sure, I actually would prefer Sam Lafferty over a Gaudreau or a VC or a Trocheck because of his speed. And I think that speed actually scares off other teams' power plays from being a little tricky and fancy with the puck. If you're afraid that, you turn over it to one guy, he's not fast enough to do anything, so he's just going to dump it down, you reset, fine. You turn it over to a guy like Lafferty, Kreider, or Zibanejad, or Trocheck that has speed and ability, that turnover doesn't turn into a dump and chase, that turnover turns into a shorthanded chance against, which is a really bad look. And with the way the Rangers have been playing shorthanded this season, I believe they lead the NHL in shorthanded chances for. I believe. Do not quote me on that, but I do believe they are up there, if not leading the entire NHL. So Sam Lafferty could be a good option if he's replacing a forward on that penalty kill. If not, he'd just be a really solid 4th liner. I think there's better options on this list. Speaking of which, this is my least favorite option, the option I hope the Rangers avoid. Nick Cjethsyt has 20 even strength points. That's great, but he's also playing second-line minutes on a really poor Arizona Coyotes team. So how deep can you look into those 20 even strength points when he comes to the Rangers, he's probably going to be playing less than 10 minutes a night? I don't really think it matters that much. Now, what I do like about him is his 7.51 hits per 60, which would be 4th or maybe 5th. Yeah, because Tyler Motte would be ahead of him. No. It would be 5th. 5th on the Rangers. His penalties drawn per 60 at 0.84 would be 6th on the Rangers. A big negative I have with him is his giveaways to takeaways ratio, which is negative. He does not really... he's slow. We don't really need any slow, bruising forwards. As we saw in the playoffs last year, it worked for us, and then it worked against us. Speed kills. You've got to be fast. We do not need a slow guy turning the puck over in the neutral zone. The whole point of the New York Rangers 4th line with Motte, Lecision, and Gaudreau, as it will be today, great, can't wait for that, is that the fact that they're going to dump the puck in and they're going to chase it, not turn the puck over in the neutral zone like Nick Cjethsyt has done so many times. I just don't think he's a good option. He's also below 48%. I think he's like a 47.3 or something like that in the faceoff dot. You're not really moving any chains with anybody. If he's above 50%, you know what? That looks really good, but he's not. The Rangers have plenty of guys that are below 50% in the faceoff dot, so I just don't really see how he would be moving any chains in that aspect. I don't really see Nick Cjethsyt as a good option. He's just not fast enough. He doesn't do enough to move the chains, especially compared to other players on this list. Like Ivan Barbashev, who in my last video was my favorite number one option. 21 even strength points. You can relate to Nick Cjethsyt, where that might not be as much of a factor with the New York Rangers, considering the fact that he'll be probably playing fourth line minutes. Unless they move him up and move VC down, you really don't know. The more important stats that I look at are his 231 takeaways per 60, which would lead the Rangers. His 7.58 hits per 60 would be fifth on the Rangers, and his 1.23 penalties drawn per 60 would be third on the Rangers. Those are all stats that I love. He draws penalties, he hits, and he takes the puck away from the opposition. What more could you ask for? Probably not much. Now, these are all options we've already discussed and gone over. Let's get into the new options, the more exciting ones, because new is exciting. Jordan Greenway, a recent addition to the TSN NHL trade deadline bait board. 7.56 hits per 60 will be third amongst active Rangers. His 2.75 blocks per 60, a stat that stood out above and beyond to me because I did not expect to see this with Jordan Greenway, will be second amongst Rangers forwards. His giveaways to takeaways ratio is even, so you don't really have to worry about that, but it's still not great. His bad side is his penalties drawn versus taken. He takes a lot more penalties than he draws. Not really helping us there. His 3.2 shooting percentage is also really bad. Now, granted, this is clearly a guy that you rely on in the defensive zone to block shots, and then chip and chase, throw a big hit in the corner, and move on. Other than that, he's not really doing much. Remember what I said about speed killing in the playoffs? Jordan Greenway was really not that fast. He's a good player. Blocks a lot of shots, throws a lot of hits. It would be great. But there's one more option I want to look at. And by far is my favorite option and the one that I personally want the Rangers to pursue the most amongst everybody else. This player has two drawbacks. We'll talk about him in the end. But to start off, and I think you guys might already have an inkling or probably just know right off the rip who that final option is because of one, his contract, and two, his play style. Tanner Jeannot. Tanner Jeannot's 15.31 hits per 60 would lead the Rangers by nearly a factor of 2. The man in second place, Jacob Trouba, is slightly above an 8, which is like ridiculously good. And Tanner Jeannot would nearly double that. The stat that stood out to me above everything else involving Tanner Jeannot, his 3.53 blocks per 60 would lead Rangers forwards and be fourth on the entire team. He'd be above defensemen on the team. His 1.69 takeaways per 60 would be seventh on the Rangers. Oh, and side note, he doesn't give away the puck that much. That's big. The bad side. Negative 0.15 net penalties per 60 minutes. Granted, would be 13th on the Rangers. But then again, that is a lot of penalties and not a lot of penalties drawn. So by acquiring him, you're openly acknowledging that the Rangers, already a fairly penalized team at points, will be more penalized and will not be gaining power plays unless, who knows, maybe he comes to the Rangers and he draws more than he takes. I don't know. I don't have a glass ball to look through. But it's something to take into consideration. His 12 minor penalties, so in other words, putting his team on the penalty kill 12 times, I did not look at his double minors or majors, will be fourth on the Rangers. Behind Trouba, behind Trocheck, behind tie with Hedel and Panarin, and behind one other guy. I forget who. But that's the give and take. The question is, what are your guys' thoughts? In my opinion, I think priority number 1A and 1B for the New York Rangers needs to be Ivan Barbashev and Tanner Jeannot. What I ask you is, 1, do you agree with what I said? 2, if you do not agree, Who else do you think could possibly be an option? An affordable one at that. We're not talking Patrick Kane. We are talking strictly third, fourth, maybe middle six forwards, but role players, not star talent, role players. Did I miss someone? Or is there someone else on this list that you like slightly more? And the third question I ask you is this. If, at all, do the Rangers potentially move a pick higher than the third round to acquire, and this is specifically to these two players, a Tanner Jeannot or an Ivan Barbashev? If you're the New York Rangers, do you trade a second round pick plus for Jeannot or Barbashev? You guys answer that question down below in the comments, and I will meet you there. The last video had great feedback. I want to thank you all for that. The likes, the comments, everything was great. It was awesome. One of my highest performing videos ever. I love that. Let's do it again. But this time, let's talk about the new players at hand. Tyler Motte's a Ranger. The Rangers do play tonight at 7 o'clock. I will not be able to cover the first. Probably not going to even be able to cover the second period. I do have a night class tonight, which sucks. I'm going to miss Tyler Motte's re-debut. So, won't be able to do that on Twitter tonight. I'm sure we'll talk about it another time. More important thing is, y'all comment down below. I have got to get my ass to work. Comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you on the next one. I promise I'll get a webcam at some point. Right now, I'm just working on what I have on my at-home laptop that I use pretty much only for schoolwork. So, yeah, we're getting somewhere. Y'all comment down below your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and peace out. Let's go, Rangers.